Hey guys, welcome back to the Daddy Jeep Garage. It is now 2025. Well, at least it will be when you see this video. So I hope you had a good 2024. I hope you had a good Christmas. I know we did here at the shop. Today we're going to start on a new project. I don't even know what year it is. This Jeep TJ is in pretty rough shape. We've got a lot of rust to deal with. We need some exhaust work. We need some bushings on some control arms. It needs a good once over. So we're going to go through this thing. We're going to get it ready for an enhanced Pennsylvania inspection. This has an R title, and in Pennsylvania, they make it really difficult to bring an out-of-state R title in and get it on the roads in Pennsylvania. So I have to go through this very thoroughly, fix everything we can find that needs fixed, and get it ready for this enhanced inspection. This thing came out of New York State, and we all know how much things rust in New York. So we need fenders. We have new fenders. We're going to need a windshield frame. It's pretty rusty. That wasn't even on the list, but we're going to have to deal with that. It's got some rips in the soft top. It's got some rust in the corners. The gas tank skid is completely gone. We have to deal with that. Get over to this side. More rust in the corners. More rust in the tub. More rust in the fenders. So, yeah, typical Rust Belt vehicle. Rust. But it runs great. It's got the 4-cylinder, 5-speed. It has an aux locker in the rear axle, which is certainly a plus. So, yeah, let's get this thing on a lift and dig in. So this is not how you're supposed to remove a gas tank skid. But, yeah, what used to be metal is now just this rusty, gross pile of stuff. So, yeah, first step, gas tank's dropped. I got to get the rest of that skid off. One of the studs stripped, of course. And then get the clean in. We've got some frame repair to do. Oh, it's kind of dark in there. You see, we've got a little bit of frame repair to do. There's nothing there. There's nothing up through there. You can stick my finger in from the back side. Somebody's already done some frame work on here. They've installed these patch panels. Did a pretty fair job from what I can see. Get up here. They've installed a piece. Goes down through here. And the suspension mount, which I don't understand these mounts, why they don't cover the whole bushing. It is what it is. I didn't put them on. And then apparently it has aftermarket control arms that somebody stretched quite a bit. Uppers and lowers both. They've been in here a long time. We'll check all the bushings, see if those are savable or if we'll have to replace it all. It's hard to say. Old rusty junk, but we'll get it better. Also, another thing that's on the list is the spring pocket. You should be able to stick your finger through, so we're going to have to rebuild or replace those as well. So I've spent probably an hour on this frame with the needle scaler, just getting all the really crusty, heavier scale off. And if you notice, you can make it out in the video, none of this frame repair on the inside was welded at all. So whoever repaired the frame, let me get that out of the way, whoever repaired this frame originally obviously didn't drop the gas tank, so they didn't fully weld any of this frame repair. And there's some rust back in here that I've got to deal with. So I'm going to go ahead, get this ground up a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and fully weld at least this previous frame repair in place before I move on with starting to build some filler pieces for where it's rusted out in the back there. We're going to put some corner armor on here so I don't have to fix and body work all the rust, but I need to at least neutralize it and take care of the bad spots. And the corner armor needs something to attach to. So this corner, which is no longer here, I went ahead and I fabbed up this patch panel for it. Once I get it cut out, it'll fit pretty nice. But this piece turned out pretty good enough to get this corner rebuilt and give the corner armor something to attach to. So I had to go ahead and get this cut out on the lines, do a little more final fitting, and then we can get this welded in. Did not want to do that. Oh, I just broke the back of the frame off. I'm trying to fix. Oh, Jesus. Looks like I got more work to do. But yeah, this, I didn't want to rebuild all that, but looks like I have to rebuild it all. That's great. But that way we know it's right. All right, so that's the last piece of this new rear cross member. So I just drilled out the holes for the body mounts to fit in. We'll go ahead and we'll bolt the body mounts to the tub before we weld this back onto the frame to make sure everything lines up the way it needs to. I have a couple holes to drill for bumper mounts, but that's about it for this custom built rear cross member. So I could have bought one, sure, 150 bucks, whatever it might have been, but the amount of time it took me to throw this together, it's about a wash value-wise, and this got me done the next day versus waiting a few days to get one shipped in. So what I did to build this, because the old one was, of course, very rusty and very bent. So the Jeep backed into something once upon a time. So that thing was all kinds of twisted up, and I just wasn't able to straighten it. I thought about just rebuilding the ends, but it was so twisted up. I used a new piece of 2-inch angle iron here, some 3x5 to shape the ends, and I did use the bottom piece of the factory one because it already has the gas tank mounts, and it was in good enough shape. I could straighten it out, put it back together, and make it work to build this new cross member. I'm super happy with it. Came out nice. It's stronger than factory. It's thicker steel than factory would have been. And like I said, a couple more holes, we're ready to burn it into the Jeep. All right, we just rolled in this 2020 Nissan Titan. We're going to put a 3-inch rough country lift on it today. It's going to look a whole lot more like a truck's supposed to look once we're done with it. So the rear of this lift is like most lifts, pretty stupid simple. We are just installing a lift block per the instructions from rough country, the side towards the front. I have it on a scissor jack to move the axle up and down, and currently the brake lines are not super tight, and I don't want them super tight, so I'm using the ratchet strap to pull the spring up so I can get this spacer squeezed in there. We're not quite there yet. All right, just got to wiggle it and get the upper pin in and then put the new U-bolts in. You can see now that the axle is lower than the shock, and that's the one downfall to this kit is it uses the factory shocks, does not provide any kind of spacer, so down travel is going to be limited in this truck. So we're going to go ahead, use that scissor jack to lift up the axle so we can get that shock bolt back in. So close. Yeah, go ahead. Hang it. Just a hair more. There it is. Yeah, go ahead and let it down now. Take it all the way, take jack out and everything. Cool. Just that easy. Now we just got to tighten that thing up, move on to the front. All right, so the first couple steps up front is we need to remove the steering and the sway bar. The kit comes with new sway bar links, so we got to wrestle out these old ones. The new ones use nuts and bolts instead of the normal ball joint sway bars, so that's kind of nice. And now went ahead and knocked out the upper ball joint so we can get this upper control arm yanked out of here. The kit comes with a new upper control arm. And then once this is out, we can unbolt the strut, put in the strut spacer. All right, I didn't show you all this. You can figure it out. But I got the strut removed and the upper control arm removed. Strut was easy, bolt on the bottom, 3 bolts on the top. Pretty straightforward stuff. Upper control arm kind of sucked. Hard to get tools in there. And then whatever these lines are made it really hard to get the bolt out. There's steering on the other side, so I can't really put the bolt in the other way. Just going to have to fight around that again. But according to the instructions, I have to trim something on this. I don't know what that might be. The instructions aren't very clear on what to trim. And then I do have to trim this lip off too. So we'll get to that here in a minute, but I just wanted to show everything torn down as far as it needs torn down. I put a ratchet strap there to keep the knuckle from dropping too far. So steering's off, sway bar's off, struts out, upper control arm is out. Now it's time to reverse that and put it all back together. New upper control arms in. Again, not tight at all because we don't want to tighten anything until we get weight on it. So now we can put the strut back in. The strut, let me get some light on it. The spacer's been bolted onto the top. You have to install those studs into the spacer. So that's it for that. We can go ahead and shove that back up in there and bolt everything back together. Everything's back together. We went in and greased the upper ball joint, put this little cap in here. Everything is tight except for the upper control arm bolts. We're going to lower this thing down in jack stance, snug those up, and then I'll show you what this thing's going to look like back on the ground with the new 3-inch lift. Well, wouldn't you know it, I'm ready to weld the new cross member onto the Jeep, and of course, I run out of welding wire. All right, here we are all done. So this truck looks a whole lot better with a 3-inch rough country lift. You also may notice we took off the side steps because that also gives the truck an illusion of being a little bit taller. But it was a real easy install. I had some help. The owner of the truck and his dad were both there helping me out. So between the three of us working on it, we got the install done in right about 4 hours. So it was pretty straightforward. He's going to get it aligned tomorrow, and it's good to go. So you can see the little cross member. It fits the Jeep really nicely. I'm happy with it. I went ahead and I welded studs in there for the bumper. This aftermarket bumper, I couldn't tell you where it came from, how old it is, but it's different spacing than what the cross member is supposed to have. I measured Keith's TJ to get the spacing for the bumper mounts, and it's different for that bumper. So I went ahead and I matched it up, drilled holes, welded in some studs, just to make mounting that bumper a little bit easier. Of course, that bumper is going to take a bunch of work to get cleaned up, painted, so it looks good with this Jeep when everything else is done. But at this point, that's all I can do for tonight. I have to get some welding wire. Normally I buy that stuff online, but I might just go buy some in my local welding shop so I can get back to work, get this cross member finished up, and then get back on to body work. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.